17th July, 1946. This morning, Bhagavan was speaking about a letter from a Mr. Pandey. He's the principal of a college at Kathmandu, telling about an incident that Mr. Pandey has already described in the 1946 souvenir volume. Mr. Rao and I wanted to see it, so Bhagavan asked for the letter to be shown to us. This is the incident. Pandey went to the great temple in Tiruvannamalai on the evening of his departure. When he entered the innermost shrine, the lingam of Arunachalam was pointed out to him, and the young man who was with him, also a devotee of Bhagavan, cried out, "Arunachala! Arunachala!" But Pandey could not see any lingam, but only the face of Bhagavan, whichever side he turned. Everywhere the face of Bhagavan. October 5th, 1946. This morning a person came and prostrated himself before Bhagavan at the dining hall. He almost touched him, and as I was wondering who it could be, the person announced himself to Bhagavan as Vasu. And Bhagavan said, "Is it you? If you had not said it, I should never have recognized you. You have gone down so much." And the visitor replied, "I find I must say the same about Bhagavan." And to this Bhagavan said, "Why? What is the matter with me? Probably because you are reduced, your eyesight has also become reduced, and I appear reduced to you." Later in the hall, Bhagavan introduced this gentleman to all present and said, "This is the Vasu who caught hold of me when returning from an oil bath one hot day to Skanda Ashramam, and I had that experience of what seemed like utter collapse, with even the heartbeat stopping." Then Vasudeva Sastri said, "I was then too young. I did not even know that it was death. But because Palani Swami started crying, I thought it was death, and I caught hold of Bhagavan, and I was trembling with grief." At this point, Bhagavan said, "I could even in that state clearly see his trembling and emotion." It was added that Bhagavan, after he recovered, he told Vasu and Palani, "What? You thought I died? Did you believe I would die even without telling you?" This is the person who, when we were in Virupaksha Cave, a tiger came that way one night, hastily ran into the cave, leaving us in the veranda, shut the door, and then cried to the tiger, "Come on now, what can you do?" And then V said, "Once Bhagavan and I went around the hill during the Skanda Ashramam days. When we reached near Isanya Muth, about 8:30 in the morning, Bhagavan sat on a rock and said with tears in his eyes he would never again come to the ashramam and would go where he pleased and live in the forests or caves away from all men. But I would not leave him, and he would not come. It became very late. We went there about 8:30, as I said, and even when it became 1 p.m., we were still in this deadlock. Bhagavan asked me to go into town and eat my food and then come back if I wanted. But I was afraid that if I went, Bhagavan would go away somewhere. Meanwhile, the Swami of the Muth very unexpectedly came that way. Ordinarily, it could not be expected he would have come there at that time at all. But strange to say, he came that way, and he persuaded Bhagavan to go with him to the Isanya Muth. I left Bhagavan there and ran up to the town for my food and came back swiftly, fearing that Bhagavan might have left. But I found him there, and we both came to Skanda Ashramam afterwards. When this was mentioned, Bhagavan said, "Another time, too, I wanted to run away from all this crowd and live somewhere unknown, freely as I liked. That was when I was in Virupaksha Cave. I felt my being there was an inconvenience and hardship to Jada Swami and the other Swamis there. But on that occasion, my plans were frustrated by Yogananda Swami. I tried to be free on a third occasion also. That was after Mother's passing away. I did not want to have even an ashramam like Skanda Ashram and the people that were coming there then. But the result has been this ashramam and all the crowds here. Thus all 3 attempts failed." In another connection, Bhagavan also mentioned Vasudeva Sastri, saying, Mr. GVS read out a Telugu stanza composed by him on the celebration of birthdays. It was GV's birthday, it seems. When this was read out, Bhagavan said, "It is this Vasu and others that wanted to celebrate my birthday first in 1912. I was quite opposed to it. But Vasu pleaded with me, saying, 'It is for us, and so Bhagavan should not object.' And they celebrated it that year for the first time." In the afternoon, Sundaresa Ayer's grandson, about 1 month old, was brought into the hall to see Bhagavan, and his daughter followed behind. Bhagavan took the child into his hands when it was offered and said, "I was wondering whether you were bringing some doll. He is looking at me and smiling." After holding the child, Bhagavan was about to return him when the daughter ran up to Bhagavan and, showing a red mark on the child's abdomen, said, "There is this red mark on the child." Further, he had Brahma Mudi, the knot of Brahma, at the time of his birth. Bhagavan looked at the birthmark and then returned the child. The girl continued and said, "We don't know whether this mark and that knot are good. Mother asked me to ask Bhagavan, are they good?" And Bhagavan was pleased to say, "All is only good." I consider these people extremely lucky, and I believe all will be well with this child in life. As Bhagavan further remarked, after the child was returned and was seated on his grandmother's lap, he said, "It is to attain the state of this babe that all yoga is performed. This babe, what thoughts has it now? It does not even blink its eyes." Then the child's mother began singing the Saranagati song, and Bhagavan, turning to GVS, said, "Do you know what happened to this girl? She was living at Kanpur on the 2nd or 3rd floor, and though there was a tap, it seems water would not flow up there. But she turned the tap and sang this song, and then water flowed, it seems. That is a Siddhi. When the father went to her, she said, 'I will show you a miracle,' and repeated the performance before him." When the birthmark was shown and there was talk about it, Bhagavan said, I too have a red mark on the sole of my right foot, but the mark on this child's abdomen is big. And then someone said, Mr. Ramaswamy Iyer has sung that Bhagavan's feet had become red on account of burning tears shed at his holy feet by devotees. And another writer has described the red mark as the anklet mark of Nataraja. And then Vasudeva Sastri, recounted another incident which he had seen. One day when we were at Skanda Ashram, I was aghast to find a scorpion climbing up over Bhagavan's body in the front, and another at the same time climbing down his back. I was terrified and wanted to do something. But Bhagavan remained calm, as if nothing happened. And the two scorpions, after crawling over his body as if over a wall, eventually left him. After they left, Bhagavan explained to us, they crawl over you just as they would crawl on the floor or a wall or a tree. Do they crawl over these, stinging as they go? It is only because you fear them and do something that they fear you and do something in return.